Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into how language actually works under the surface. We're going to figure out how to unlock the hidden meanings of words together. We'll look at the literal facts of language, but more importantly, we're going to unpack the emotional baggage that words carry. It's a totally fascinating way to change how we read and write.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with our lesson objective, compare denotation versus connotation, practice using context clues, check out a 5-step analysis model, clear up some common misconceptions, and wrap up with a quick check and recap.
Right into Section 1, our lesson objective, basically setting our goals for today.
Think of yourselves as language investigators. Writers leave clues absolutely everywhere, and it's our job to decode them. So specifically, we are tackling two big concepts today, using context clues to unlock meaning, and understanding and using the connotative meanings of words. By the time we're done, you're going to know exactly how to uncover the true intent behind specific word choices, whether you're reading an essay, a story, or even an advertisement.
Moving to Section 2, denotation versus connotation. This is all about literal versus emotional meaning.
So, to decode these hidden meanings, we really have to look at the two layers that every single word has, right? Starting with the plain old facts. Denotation is simply the baseline, factual, dictionary definition of a word. It is exactly what you would find if you just opened up a dictionary. For example, if we look at the word snake, the denotative meaning is just a long, legless reptile. That's it, a biological fact.
But here's where things get super interesting. Connotation is the emotional, cultural, or associative meaning a word carries beyond that literal definition. Think of it as the emotional baggage, or, the specific vibe a word brings to the table. Let's go back to our snake example. If someone calls a person a snake, they're obviously not saying that person is literally a reptile slithering on the floor, right? The connotation there is that the person is dangerous, sneaky, or totally untrustworthy.
And this next comparison brilliantly illustrates the difference. Let's look at the words house and home. Denotatively, they both just point to a place where people live. But house sounds really factual and neutral. It's just a building. Home, on the other hand, well, that brings a warm, personal vibe. It carries all these associations of safety, love, and family, even though it's pointing to the exact same physical structure. When we break down these features, a really clear pattern emerges. While the denotative meaning comes straight from the dictionary and stays mostly stable, the connotative meaning comes from culture, experience, and context. Because of that, connotations can actually shift around depending on your audience or even the time period. So the facts stay the same, but the feelings totally change.
We generally lump these feelings into 3 buckets: positive, negative, and neutral. Notice how these pairs work. If someone tells you you're looking youthful, hey, that's a compliment. It's a positive connotation about having good energy. But if they call you childish, yikes, that's an insult. It implies you're immature and annoying. Both words relate to being young, but they carry completely opposite emotional baggage. Same goes for frugal, which is a positive way to say someone is careful with their money, versus stingy, which is a highly negative, insulting way to say the exact same thing.
All right, Section 3, using context clues. Let's get into the whole detective motif.
So, you might be wondering, how do we figure out which specific vibe a writer actually intends? Well, as detectives, we use context clues. These are the words and sentences surrounding our target word that reveal its true intent. You can think of context as a spotlight, highlighting the exact connotation the author wants us to see. Let's take the word fire. In the first phrase, fire in his heart, the surrounding context clues tell us this is super positive. It means passion, energy, and motivation. But in the second phrase, the argument ended in fire, the context clues completely flip the connotation. Suddenly, it means danger, destruction, and anger. Same exact word, totally different vibe, all because of the context.
Moving on to Section 4, the 5-step analysis model. Here's how to actually find that connotative meaning.
To make this really practical for your own reading and writing, the source material gives us a super straightforward step-by-step method. Step 1, find the literal denotation. Just ask, what does it actually mean? Step 2, ask how it feels. Is it positive, negative, or neutral? Step 3, imagine a picture in your head. Step 4, think about the speaker and the audience. And finally, Step 5, compare it with a similar word. I gotta say, I highly recommend Step 5 because doing a quick word swap is absolutely the fastest way to spot a connotation in the wild.
Now, what's really interesting here is seeing Step 5 in action. Imagine a writer is describing a business lowering its prices.
If they use the phrase competitively pricing products, the tone is fair, right? Reassuring. But if we swap the words and say the business is aggressively undercutting prices, wow, the tone becomes sneering and hostile. The literal economic facts haven't changed one bit, but the writer's stance has been secretly smuggled in right through their word choice.
Section 5. Common misconceptions, or getting it right.
Understanding this stuff is incredibly powerful, but it does lead us into a common analytical trap that students fall into all the time. I want to pose this question directly to you. Let's say you're writing an essay, and you want to point out a harsh word an author used. Is it enough to just write, "The author uses negative diction"? Think about it for a second.
The answer is a hard no. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a definitely not. Just labeling a word as negative diction is a stall tactic. It's a label, not an analysis. To truly explain it, you've got to quote the specific word, name its exact emotional baggage, like is it anger, is it arrogance, fear, and then connect that to the writer's purpose. You need to tell us why that specific implication serves the author's argument.
Okay, Section 6. Quick check and recap. Let's test your knowledge.
All right, investigators. You've learned the difference between literal facts and emotional baggage. Here's a brief formative mystery for you to solve. Read the phrase, "She strolled into the park." Now, apply the context clues in our word swap method. Does the word strolled carry a purely denotative meaning, or does it have a connotative weight compared to a neutral word like walked?
If you said connotative, you absolutely nailed it. Strolled carries some serious connotative weight. It doesn't just mean moving on 2 feet. It adds a whole layer of this relaxed, calm, easygoing vibe that a completely neutral word like walked just lacks. You can instantly picture the scene so much better because of that one specific word choice.
All right, let's quickly recap what we've covered today. First, always use context clues to investigate a word's true meaning in its natural environment. Remember that denotation is simply the dictionary fact, while connotation is the emotional baggage or the vibe attached to it. And finally, use that 5-step model, especially that word swap trick, to analyze any writer's word choice.
So, the crucial point is captured beautifully in this quote from our source material. Denotation is the literal meaning. Connotation is the feeling. Seriously, if you remember just one rule from today, let it be this one.
Now that you know how to decode the hidden feelings inside language, you've got incredible power as a writer and a communicator. Which leaves me with one final question for you. How will you deliberately choose your words today to shape the exact vibe you want to send? Thank you so much for exploring this with me on today's Explainer, and I will catch you next time.